Blake.
I'm Zach.
I'm Lily.
And this is
OnlyBands.
Are we supposed to say and this is?
Are
Usually
we?
I just let you say that this is.
I don't
Normally,
know.
I
I
just
screwed
say
it
it.
up.
No,
I
no,
panicked.
you can take that. That's yours. Like that,
I
you can
panicked.
hold that. But I try to
Yeah.
generally avoid as much responsibility as possible.
Whenever
That's
I
a
panic,
mood,
I
actually.
just say things. I say things when I panic.
So hi y'all, this is Mission Music's podcast OnlyBands. Today we are gonna kind of just talk about Pride Month and music as always, among other things. We are so glad to have you on, and we're gonna start this conversation off with an icebreaker.
All right.
Trying to do the one eye thing, the one up eyebrow. It's not working.
Oh, wait. No, I can't do the eyebrows.
Yeah, no, I can't do it either.
I could go draw on an eyebrow
Zach
that
can
just
do
goes
it.
up naturally. Yeah, I can't do that.
Oh my god.
I got that unlocked.
Thank God you did it for us, Zach.
I used to be able to
Alright.
do
So
the worm with my eyebrows.
Was the eyebrow thing the icebreaker? Is there an icebreaker after
Yes.
that?
I don't know. That ice feels pretty broken.
Only one of us broke it.
Yeah, I'm right. Currently, I am drowning.
He's the only one. Hopefully your eyebrows will save you.
I'm dying of hypothermia.
This got dark really quick. I
Please
expected
save
to get
me.
dark at like 5 minutes, not
Well,
2.
that's what happens when you break the ice. It's upsetting.
you're
I'm
just gonna go
on the
deeper and
ice. It's a
deeper.
problem.
Yeah.
All right, so take it away, Blake.
So we're this month. It is June, which means it is Pride Month. And something that many people do or don't know, actually, I'm not sure. But if you don't know, all three of us are actually in the LGBT community. So it's something that we should probably talk about since it's our month. I'm a trans man. I believe Lily is pretty comfortable saying that she is a trans woman.
I am.
And
Absolutely.
Zach is just a non-binary magical creature. And Polly.
Not
I'm
quite a
Debbie.
And
fairy.
Polly.
I'm everything.
Yeah.
Bisexual, I think, is the best, possibly demisexual, but I haven't had enough, romantic experiences to be able to really decide.
Fair
enough.
point.
I think we pretty much cover the spectrum.
Yeah.
So Blake,
I'm
what?
pan-romantic demisexual. And
All right.
this is just the most LGBT company, I guess, in the history of companies.
And it'll
I mean,
keep
technically-
growing that way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a 100. We got a 100% ratio going. So like, we just keep it that way. Then we
Literally,
can take
though.
that.
Yeah.
So how do you want to talk about the LGBTQ community?
I thought it would be good if we discussed what it means for all of us to be in our gender identity and our experiences, the good and the bad, how it felt coming out. I know for me, when I came out, I was pretty comfortable kind of initially coming out to my friends, but I was terrified coming out to my parents. Not so much to my mom, but more so because of my dad. And my dad, as much as I love him, I didn't know how he was going to react because he's more of a Republican and he watches Fox News on occasion. I mean, he also watches CNN and like NBC, but like he does watch the occasional Fox News. And so that was my fear. I didn't know if he was going to cut me off in any aspect for being trans. And I had previously come out to him a while ago, like years ago when I was like 13 as gender fluid, but I don't think that actually like meant anything at the time because I didn't feel comfortable in it. And it was just like me blurting it out and then it just never becoming a topic of conversation again. And so this was a little different and he was actually incredibly supportive. He just looked at me in the eye. I was like, okay. And after that, I was just like, okay, if he's not going to care, then no, why does anyone else need to care? And I just started coming out to a lot more people. And through the good and the bad, I found that this is where I am.
I think that's awesome. And I think you took baby steps kind of leading up to the full coming out. And sometimes I think that's safest. Sometimes I think kind of double checking, making sure that, hey, I actually identify as gender fluid. There's nothing wrong with taking steps to fully coming out to someone, especially if you're worried about losing that person, or in other situations, it becoming a dangerous situation. I think testing the water is definitely a valid way of identifying and trying to come out fully.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and only in 2018 or 2019 did I realize that it was like, actually, it's not just gender fluid. I'm more masculine than I expected. Oh, thanks, dogs. You were so lovable.
They wanted to give their 2 cents.
No, that's
They
that
did.
they're applauding.
Frankie is coming out right now.
Literally, though. So, what about y'all?
Zach, do you want to go first, or
I think you
do
should.
have-
Mine's the least interesting.
Okay. Well, I came out twice, technically. The first time I came out as a gay man back in high school. And I wasn't ever really worried about telling my parents, because my parents, I didn't grow up in a very religious home. We were in a very religious town, but we were not religious ourselves. Our neighbors, the first day that we moved in, said that we were going to hell because we didn't go to church. So that was a wonderful neighborly welcome. Shout out to you assholes.
Yeah.
So I never really worried about coming out so much. I think it was more worry about, once I say this, it's 100% absolutely true. And I felt like there was no going back. And at the time, I didn't want anything definite. Like I was a man for a long time. And in high school, I started dating a boy that I really liked. And I felt like that was the time to tell my mom, like, hey, I think I am gay. And I was so worried for a long time that once I said it, I couldn't really be like, you know what, but actually there's this girl that I like, because I was very conflicted. I liked girls and I really attached to guys emotionally. So I just thought, hey, I'm just gay. And then later down the road, I was in college. So I started working in retail, and mostly women's retail. And I was around the clothes a lot, and it really kind of pushed me towards more androgyny, trying to wear women's clothing a little bit more, trying to look a little bit less masculine. And it wasn't until a good friend of mine came out as trans that I didn't even realize that trans was something that was possible. Because the first time that I heard the term transgender was a TV show making fun of it. And it wasn't really something that I ever considered for myself, because of the fact that nobody really talks about it. Yes, you heard of people like Chaz Bono who transitioned, but they also had so much money and fame and popularity. So I always thought it was just something that you needed those things to do. It wasn't until a friend of mine came out as trans that I started to really understand what it was. And I started to really feel like I fit in. So I started seeing a therapist without my parents knowing, talking to them about being trans. I was talking to the guy that I was with at the time about being trans, and he was supportive. He wasn't very happy because I think he identified more as a gay man, and he was very confused about, if I transition, what does that mean for him? And he didn't work out, which, hey, things like that happen. But I told my mom finally, and she was really happy. And actually, funny story, I told my mom's girlfriend first, because my mom and my dad at that point were divorced. My mom was seeing a woman, and my mom now is fully lesbian. She identifies as lesbian, nothing to do with men anymore. But I came out to her girlfriend first, just to kind of test the waters, kind of like you did with gender fluid. And I told her girlfriend first, and her girlfriend's like, you need to tell your mom. She's going to be so happy for you. And I did. And she was very happy. It wasn't until I told my dad that I got really scared, because my dad and I never really connected well. And I think it's because I didn't really fit in with that masculine side of things. And I wasn't scared that he would be angry or that he would disown me. I was scared that we would lose any connection that we actually did have, because he and I mostly only connected through things like movies and TV shows. And the nerdy side of me is all of his stuff that he kind of imprinted on me. And I was worried that we were going to lose that connection. But I told him in the middle of a McDonald's. And I've never seen him cry before. And I saw him cry in the middle of McDonald's when I told him that I am officially trans, and I am taking the name Lily, because it was the name that I used to say I wanted to name my daughter. but I'm selfish and I want that name for me. So I took that name. And I had never seen him cry before, and I saw him cry in a McDonald's after I told him that I was trans, not because he was sad for me or anything like that, but unknowing to me, my entire family knew the entire time, which I think is common in a lot of trans people. Like, you show signs very, very young. And apparently my family was taking bets on if I would come out as trans or not. And my grandmother apparently was the winner of those bets. And it caused my dad to watch a bunch of documentaries about trans people and the lives that they lead. And in most of those documentaries, it was not a happy ending. And he was very worried for me mentally, because a lot of the documentaries that he saw ended in suicide for a lot of the people who identified as trans. But all those documentaries, they were from the 80s or the 90s, and he didn't understand how different it was. But I promised him that I would always keep my head on my shoulders. I would never turn down that road. I got a tattoo for him to remind myself that all the time. And his reaction, I think, is the one that sticks the most for me, because he was crying not because I said that I was trans, but because he was worried about the world that we live in right now for people who identify as trans. But yeah,
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
It's just
that's my story.
That's really heartwarming, honestly. Just that like that much concern came with it. That not only that, but he'd like done, I guess, his idea of research up to that point.
He had done a lot of research unknown to me. And apparently my grandmother did too. The only people that I had to say goodbye to in my life when I came out as trans were some very conservative aunts and uncles. And honestly, it didn't affect me. I did show up to their house one Thanksgiving years after starting my transition. They didn't even recognize me.
Yeah,
which is kind of fun. Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was kind of interesting. Did Dad get a girlfriend? Oh God, no. Oh God, that was weird. No, it was kind of interesting. And that's kind of where I am as far as my journey. And it doesn't seem like the journey is going to be ending. And there's always those times where you meet someone new and you have to eventually be like, so I'm a trans person, whether you're dating them or you just have a connection with them or you think that you trust them. So we're constantly coming out. And I think that's something that people outside of the community don't really realize, is you are constantly coming out to new people in your life. It's not like one time you come out and then it's over.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if people who are straight are like, every time they're wanting to be in a relationship, they're like, so I'm straight and I want you to know that.
Well,
I don't know. It would be
no. It's definitely really different. But like, I actually have had to have that conversation a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess this leads actually pretty well into
your turn.
My story. So I haven't actually ever talked about this in like a very public setting before. Mostly because there isn't a lot to talk about. I feel like it's more like it's just how it is, and like I'm not really concerned with what other people think or like anything like that. Like I haven't talked to either of my parents about it really. I have all like my pronouns, my bios and stuff, but like none of my family said anything about it, and I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever, it's fine. But like, yeah, I identify as he, they. And I think that's mainly, like you were saying, there's a lot of like signs in like early childhood about like these kinds of things. I think that's mainly because like my dad is a very toxic male like archetype, and like he would always try to like teach me things and be like, oh, you got to be tough, like you got to be, and it's like, but why? Like I don't, but like if it's not how I am, like, oh, I'm not supposed to cry when I fall flat on my face snowboarding, like no, I'm gonna cry, that shit hurt, like so like I like that most, it kind of boils down to that. It's like I am the way I am because I am the way I want to be, and I am okay with myself in general, and I don't really subscribe to the idea of being a man at all. Like I still am very male presenting, but I dress very flamboyantly a lot. I wear a lot of jewelry, and I wear nail polish, like all this, like all of these things that really lean heavily into like the femininity side of things, because I like it. Like that's all that really it boils down to. But the the world around me does not usually think that way, uh, because I am constantly mistaken for homosexual. And I don't really know my sexuality. I don't really identify with one. Like, I've never had an interaction with a man, but I don't even know if I would be against it at this point. And like, it's just it like I've come close. I just haven't done it. And that's kind of where I'm just like, all right, well then I'm not even gonna think about it. If it happens, it happens. Uh but like pretty much every single time I'll go out with my friends, like, like they'll be like, talking to a girl or something like that, and then like a gay guy is talking to me, and I'm just like, how do I tell him? And like, because like I'm not offended or anything, like I get it, like look at me, but like it's just like it happens constantly, and like sometimes it gets discouraging just to be like, oh, but like, why won't girls pay attention to me? But like I don't really care. Like, it's just I am the way that I am, and I don't really subscribe to a particular label, which is why I think non-binary is like definitely my wheelhouse, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely makes sense. First off,
Yeah.
your nail polish is great. Let me just
Thank
say.
you.
But I think
Yeah,
our
I
generation,
absolutely love it.
I think our generation is all
Awesome.
about redefining the gender roles.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously the generations before us, things like Stonewall, they obviously redefined a lot for the LGBTQ community. I think our generation is doing more in terms of redefining the roles that each gender is expected to have. Just the other day, there is a male makeup line that is being promoted by Hims, which they are actually coming out with like concealer and things that men can wear as makeup to look better. And I think that's fantastic. I don't think the toxic masculinity idea of if your foot gets chopped off, you can't cry. Like that's not what being a man is. Being a man is
No.
what you define it as. And I think, Zach,
Well, yeah.
you have your own definition of that, and there's no problem with it.
But that's the other thing. Like, men at this point have such a horribly negative connotation like attached to them. In most
Definitely.
cases, rightfully so. Just because like again, I don't want to generalize. Like, of course, it's not every single person that is a male is
Not
a bad
all
person.
men.
Yeah, not all. But like at the same time, it's like everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And like I'm just like I'm such a massive proponent for the exact opposite of what those things are, that I just completely separate myself from. Like, I stopped getting upset when people were like, oh, I hate all men. I was like, no, yeah, me too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Bork.
Don't hate genders, hate the individuals in them.
Definitely.
That's my
Mhm.
saying. Don't hate any specific gender or something, hate individuals.
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
And I think also that goes into like another thing, like you were saying, Zach, about how you get mistaken as a man and homosexual. And having said that, I think it's like kind of interesting how so many trans people are expected to pass, when in reality, there's so many trans people that just don't feel the need to pass, or
Mhm.
want to pass but physically cannot.
Passing is the way that cis people want trans people to be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
It's not for us, it's for them.
Yeah.
And I hate that. They're like,
it is a
okay,
way.
if you're gonna do this, you need to look good while you do it.
Yeah.
And that's so terrible.
It's a way for them to understand the thing that they understand the absolute least.
Yeah. I know some trans women that like their beard, so they just grow out their beard, and I say more power to them. I think this role of, okay, if you're going to say you're a gender, you need to look like that gender. It doesn't matter if you're cis or trans, but you need to look like that gender. I think that's the toxic ideas, and the fact that people started putting passing on trans people. It's like saying whether you are aesthetically pleasing or not. It's terrible.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad too, because it puts almost like a burden on us trans people, for us, in order to be accepted by some cis people, we have to present a certain way for them to feel comfortable with us. And that's just not fair. Like, I mean, for me personally, I want top surgery, but I may not want bottom surgery. And I should not have to like have people be so shocked that I am a guy just because of these boobs.
So
Yeah.
I
Like-
actually have something to say about this, if that's okay, Blake.
Yeah.
I don't, when it comes to the surgeries and things like that, I actually find I have more problems from other trans individuals
Really?
than just cis individuals. Quite a few people, because I had decided quite a few years ago that I was not going to have any surgeries. And quite a few of my trans friends said, well, you're not trans then.
Ugh.
You're not transitioning. You're not doing it. I think trans has a big gatekeeping problem where if
that's
you're
fair.
going to transition, you have to do these things to be considered trans. And one of my good trans friends, who is the reason that I started all of this, not the one that I said in the story before, it was a YouTuber. I used to watch her male to female transition videos, and it would get up the courage for me to be like, you know what, I can do this. She and I kept in contact for a while, and it wasn't until she said, well, if you don't get bottom surgery, you're not trans, that I started to realize how big the issue is. Trans is what you define it as. You don't have to get surgery.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to be on HRT. Trans, if you simply don't feel like you match the biological sex you were born with, you're trans. It doesn't matter where you are in the process. And trans is an umbrella term. Trans includes gender fluid. Trans doesn't just mean male or female. It can mean a lot of different things. And I think that's a big problem, that yes, it is a huge issue in the cis community, but I have also seen it kind of bleed into the trans community too.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that also kind of leads into what you were saying before, how like this generation is redefining the idea of the roles assigned to a lot of genders. Like, it's not just that. Like, we are like 100% fleshing out and basically defining entirely new aspects of like the genders that we are assigned to, of the sexualities that we identify as. Like, it like there are so many things that, like, you know, I hadn't even heard of until like 2 years ago. And it's just like, yeah, cool, go for it. It's just like, I guess that's also a big reason that like a lot of, you know, like bigots and like just like, you know, like the Redditor crowd,
Oh,
like a
God.
lot, yeah, like a lot of them
Oh,
are like,
Reddit.
oh, well, there's
Yeah.
only two genders. It's just like, well, I mean, you're just not listening. Like, what does
You
it matter?
you can't
Yeah.
talk science to people like that. They
No, of course
believe
not.
what they want to
No.
believe. When they
No,
realize
they believe the science of the end of the 1950s, and they're like, well, I mean, it was that then, so it's got to be that now.
it's crazy. You can't reason with people like that. And I've learned that I don't need to give my time to people like that. If somebody has questions, if somebody wants to learn, I am more than happy to talk to them. And I'd much rather have them talk to me, who is not easily offended, than another person who might be a little bit more offended. And
Definitely.
it might hurt their feelings. So I always say, look, if you have questions, ask me. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
offended by it.
Yeah.
And
That's-
you can't reason with people who come at you with that negativity and that toxicity. They're not there to learn.
Absolutely.
They're there to try and, like high school bullies, they're trying to bring you down to their level.
And that said, I think this is actually a really good time to say, like, Mission Music as an organization, we are a community. And if there's anybody listening at the moment that has any questions or is confused about anything, they can reach out to any of us. We have a Discord server. Like, they can pop in, talk to anybody. We are all insanely supportive. If you have, like, we will not get offended if you just don't know anything, you know, like, it's like, please reach out. We are here to help.
Definitely.
No one's going to fault you for not knowing something if you want to
Exactly.
learn about it.
No.
As long as you're
There
not
is-
willfully ignorant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there is zero judgment with us if you have like any questions or concerns. That being said, if you're going to be like very ignorant and not open to the responses that you're going to get from us, then that's not cool. But
Yeah.
for the
Don't
most
waste
part,
your time and don't waste ours.
Yeah.
Like, at the same time, like, we're not going to be like, oh, well, you have to accept what we say, because again,
no.
these things are a spectrum. Everybody has their own idea, but as long as you are not, essentially, as long as you're not knocking anybody else's idea of something in this category, then you're fine.
Yeah.
It's, you don't have to
Definitely.
be like, you don't have to be transphobic to be a transphobe. You don't have to be racist to be racist. You don't have to be homophobic to be homophobic. You just have to be ignorant. And
It's
like
all an umbrella term for
as
ignorant.
long as you can educate yourself on these things and be open to the responses that people give and listen to people, that's all that really matters. It's like, it's not about like, at the end of the day, it's not about what you don't understand, it's what other people are feeling.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's a really, really great way to say it.
See, the reason I hired Zach is because he's so good with words when he chooses to be.
When I choose, yeah,
chooses to
that's the
be.
thing. I really save it up. It charges up. I gotta like, it's like I'm
Yeah.
like spooling a minigun.
What is
You know, I
that
just
movie
gotta-
where like you only have a certain number of words to say before you die? Zach chooses his words that way. Is it 1,000
Yes!
words? Yeah. Zach
You know what?
chooses
That's
his
a
words
very
that
good way. That is a
He
very
doesn't
good
just
way of putting
throw
it.
words away.
Yeah. Well, that said, there's also a lot of really, really dumb shit that I say. You know how many toe
we
jokes
all
I make?
say dumb shit.
No, but do you know how many toe jokes I make like on a daily basis? It's not
Toe
good.
jokes?
Oh yeah, hilarious.
Toe
jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, feet freak me out.
Yeah, no, they suck, but like, they also freak other people out, which makes it really funny when I put like a weird twist on it.
Oh god. Oh god. If you receive toe jokes from Zach, there is a helpline.
Please, can we make a separate?
You can
separate
dial
Discord server?
213-797-0354.
That's the toe joke helpline.
Just a separate Discord server.
Operators are standing by.
Can we just make like a separate voice server that's locked and it's just me, but it's my timeout room for toe jokes?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's a voice chat that's just
You know what?
Just
Let's
me.
add that into our Discord server.
Yeah.
If anyone has to go to timeout, if you want to come into our Discord and be ignorant, you will be sent to the toe timeout.
Yeah, if I'm in there at the time, it will be a constant flurry of a.
We will make you stuck there.
Take off them socks. I'm trying to taste where you've been walking.
Exactly. That's
the
what's
most
happening.
absurd toe jokes ever will be
like
in that channel.
I have like a catalog of them because like, dude, like my entire like main friend group, like it got so bad we call ourselves the Toes now because it was unrelenting, and then they all jumped onto it and it just became a whole group thing.
How many jokes? You know what? No, I'm not even gonna ask.
We have a quote Twitter.
Blake, on to the next thing. Please move us on to the next thing.
Hey, music, am I right?
All right. Sorry, I'm just checking.
No, you're good.
With Sales Ahead just tweeted us.
What?
Oh, we love With Sales Ahead.
We do.
Our last podcast episode was actually with Sales Ahead.
Yep. And if you guys haven't checked that out, check out our Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook for the link.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Is that a thing? Are we doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Sure.
I've always wanted to say that, but I'm not a YouTuber.
Well, hey, we got it.
You now are. Congratulations.
Now we are.
This is on YouTube.
Yes.
We're all good. Yes. Can we add that to our outro? Can we add I'll say that at the end.
And this podcast is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Not really.
This podcast is sponsored by Hims.
Oh God.
This podcast is sponsored by Captain Crunch.
Oh man, any one of those.
I would kill for that.
Oh man, sponsored by Captain Crunch. That'd be pretty great, especially if you got Captain Crunch.
I can get my bassist on the line. We call him Captain Crunch.
Please tell me that's not a toe thing.
No, it's not. No.
Okay, good.
It's like the first practice that we had with him. He showed up and he had like this old bass amp that like his dad had, and it like he plugged it in, and like it was literally just like this little box amp, but like he plugged it in, and for some reason it was just like the tone was just so dirty, and we were like, you know what, that kind of sounds rad. It's crunchy, it's got crunch to it, and then but like it was just many practices like consistently, and he was just like, I am Crunch, I am the purveyor of the crunch, I am Captain Crunch.
I normally don't understand language like that. When somebody says something is crunchy, like I don't understand language from these days.
It's literally
if you're talking about food. Otherwise, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, here's the thing. I've always thought this like really weird. Music, like the lexicon that we use for like certain things in music production and everything like that is so absolutely like clearly improvised that like the first time someone said it, they were like, I don't know, it feels like what's the word? Like bright, you know? And it's like, and then everybody just decided, like,
It's
dude,
just those random words.
I took a music production class in college, and they gave us basically like a vocabulary test on like a bunch of these things, and I'm like, what the fuck is a dither? Like people just make this shit up.
That's an
Yeah.
That's an instrument,
Dither.
isn't it?
No,
Isn't a
dither is
an
a
instrument?
it's well, I think it is, but like it's used as a term in music production to describe. I forget what it describes, but it describes something.
Interesting.
Okay,
I took
It's mostly an
music
analog
theory and
music,
music appreciation. I think a dither is an instrument, if I'm not
I'm
mistaken.
looking. I am real quick. I'm gonna look.
Yeah,
up
Okay,
we're
we
all
need to
gonna
Google
Google
it.
it.
Hey Siri, what is a dither?
Dither is an intentionally applied form of noise used to randomize quantization error, preventing large-scale patterns such as color banding in images. Do you want
I'm thinking of a zither.
No.
A zither is an instrument.
Oh yeah,
Not
I
a
just got
dither.
a low level noise that is added to the audio you were producing.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, but like exactly like that's a fucking fake word, but now it's a real one.
Is it fake though? Is it fake?
No, not now.
Is
That's the
anything
thing.
real
We
though?
define it.
Anything becomes a word.
So
Well,
actually,
that's-
this
no, but that's
goes
the other
into
thing.
something.
Oh,
So
oh,
a fun fact: nothing is real because our brain is constantly making up.
No, I'm not doing this.
are we getting into
things to errors.
philosophy now?
I can't.
No,
I'll
this
have
was
a
explained
crisis.
by neuroscience. Trigger warning: existential crises.
I will have a crisis. I think about this all the time.
Oh, lovely. I'm glad we're on the same page, Zach.
But it's so true. Like,
Yeah.
like everyone's perception of things is just congregated in the
And
form of reality that we
and there's
perceive
so many
at the
more
time.
colors that we just don't see.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I studied that in psychology. That's a normal thing.
So, dude, there was like that one artist that could see the full spectrum of colors, and like, but that also is funny to me because, like, you know, she's making art, but
Yeah.
we can't see the things that she's singing. So, like, at the end of the day, it's just for us, it's just normal art, but for her, it's this absolute amalgamation of just like fireworks. Like, I can't even begin to just think about it.
Yeah.
You know, purple is a fake color.
Oh yeah.
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 Well, doesn't it just have to do with the lighting? It's
Well,
not
that's
the
the thing.
color itself.
It's the way that it was described to me is that, you know, like there's that color wheel, like the spectrum wheel,
Mhm.
and like how each color like relates to each other. Blue and red don't actually relate to each other on the spectrum wheel. So purple is just the thing that our brain made up to try to figure out and understand what the fuck is going on.
Our brain makes up a lot of things.
Yeah, it does.
That's true.
Like 70% of the things that our brain does, it's made up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a dream last night. That was made up.
I had a dream last night.
Yeah, I almost did that too. I almost did it too.
Oh, you too.
It's yeah, welcome to the company.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun so far. It's been great so far.
Yeah. Me and Zach are just the most pop punk emo kids, and then Lily, you're just kind of everywhere in music. And
I'm all over. I think that actually kind of goes into what you were talking about before, is us kind of talking about our musical influences and what we like.
Yeah. Can you actually? This is technically like your first, like, you know, you were on the With Sales Ahead, but this is like your first like personal introduction to the crowd. So like, tell us a little bit about your musical tastes and stuff.
This is what I tell everybody. I like everything except for all country and most rap.
Okay.
All country, no go. Most rap, I like some rap, but not a ton of rap. I like a lot of rap that has to do with like mental health. NF is one rapper that I really like. Kid Cudi, I really, really love and respect Kid Cudi. But mostly I live in the punk, metal, rock kind of world. One artist that I absolutely love is an artist named LP. She is an opera artist that started an alternative rock band, and she is fantastic. If anybody ever watched Orange is the New Black, they had one of her songs on there. and it kind of blew her up afterwards, which is great. But I really love anything except for all country and most rap. That's the easiest answer that I can give. I will listen to most things and fall in love with it, especially if it's complicated. Like I took music classes, music theory classes. So I love really complicated time signatures and key changes and all of that great stuff. I've been listening to a lot of Circa Survive again lately, kind of bringing them back from my high school days, getting back into that band. And they do a ton of key changes. So that really appeals to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You listen to Poppy?
I get into some pop. I'm not someone that listens. Oh, what'd you say?
Poppy.
Oh, Poppy the artist?
Yeah.
I have heard of Poppy, but I have not gotten into Poppy. I thought you were talking about pop art.
You might like Poppy.
You would like Poppy.
Normally, if something's on the radio, I don't hear it because when I'm in my car, I'm not listening to the radio. I'm listening to audiobooks. And then I miss all the popular songs and things like that. So I just kind of find my own music through influences. Radios play the same thing over and over.
Exactly. I only ever find about popular songs now because of TikTok.
Oh God, TikTok.
That's so true.
I can't with TikTok. I guess it's not in my I'm just at the edge of my generation that I could never get into TikTok or Snapchat. Anything that's like really quick videos or really quick pictures, I just never got into.
Even Vine?
Okay, I watch Vines now, but when Vine was a thing, I couldn't really do it.
That's the thing. No, but that's the exact so when TikTok first came out, everybody was like, oh, whatever, TikTok, it's stupid. And like the whole time I was just like, it's just Vine. We all loved Vine.
Yeah.
Like we all look back at Vine very, very fondly. Why wouldn't we just watch this now?
My biggest problem with TikTok is so many of my friends now think that our conversations are just them sending me TikToks and saying, oh, you need to watch this. You need to watch this. Even my brother does it now. And he'll send me all these TikTok videos like, oh my God, check this one out. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. I don't watch any of them, but I say that I do because it's what our conversations have turned into.
That's fair. I find a lot of music that I like off of TikTok. Just stuff that I would never found either way.
And it's really interesting how many people blow up because of TikTok.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. TikTok runs the music industry.
Like Blue Nick by Chris Houseman.
Real quick, I don't know if you guys have noticed. Well, Lily, clearly you haven't because you're not on TikTok. But you know, like that Olivia Rodrigo record drop.
Yes,
I know that one. I know that one. I loved Driver's License when it came out.
It is, dude. I'm gonna be real. Olivia Rodrigo as a person freaks me out. I don't want to get even remotely close to that person, but dude, that record goes so hard
musically. Her songs are genius,
and that's the thing, it's bringing pop punk back.
It is.
It is
definitely. I'm so excited.
I watched so many analysis videos on her Driver's License music video because of how perfect the placement of everything was and how all the colors had different metaphorical meaning. I was big into the conspiracy of Driver's License with her and the guy from High School Musical and then the other girl from High School Musical. I was so big into that conspiracy.
Being Paramore.
I mean, that happens with a lot of songs. It happens with a lot of songs. Like, I'm not like saying that she took it from it, but I'm saying it was definitely, whether
anything
she knew it or not,
heavily,
like, whether she knows it or not, it was heavily inspired by it. And either way, with that influence being the case, it is bringing that genre back to the limelight.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I'm very, very excited about that.
I think it's hard to come up with anything original these days, especially in the music world. I think most of the melodies and most of the chord progressions have all been done and experimented with, and people are so quick to be like, oh, that just reminds me of this song. That's what music is supposed to do.
I'm just gonna start tuning my instruments. I'm just gonna start tuning my instruments down to like a different hertz level so that I can be a couple microtones off, so I can be a little bit more original. Like, shut up.
Like, people are always talking about like, oh, that song's in drop D, so that reminds me of this song from the metal days. Like, it's fine.
Oh my God, drop D. What a fucking sin. Ugh.
I know, right? Oh God.
You're saying, my God. Speaking of drop D, my best friend Nick, he is the coolest motherfucker around. My best friend Nick was begging me to put some songs in drop D.
It's just because it's really easy to play.
Oh, it's so easy to play,
Drop
but that
D
makes it
is
so much
so
easier to
great.
play. Like, dude, it's so much easier to perform with. You know how fun that is?
Yeah.
Oh
It's the
yeah.
best. Kidding me?
Yeah.
At least it's not the 90s chord progression that everybody used.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. But I think
it's actually like, yeah.
it's valid for people to be like, oh, this song sounds like it was influenced by this song. That's exactly what artists are doing these days.
Yeah,
There's,
that's what it's supposed to
there's
do.
no moment where we're gonna have the next Thriller or we're gonna have the next Hotel California or something like that that is so original that it doesn't remind you of anything else. I think we're kind of past those days.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say that with hyperpop coming into play, like I'm hearing a lot of really, really original things that I've never heard before. And like I've also been getting a lot more into like mathy, like instrumental stuff. Like there's this one song, Flareon, that I am just
I'm down.
absolutely in love
I'm
with.
down.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
about
No, yeah.
Is it about a Pokemon?
It's not, well, I mean, it's an instrumental, so like it's not actually, but it uses, here's the coolest thing about it. So it uses sound bits of Flareon from the show,
Okay, I'm
and
into it.
he samples it and just like makes it into like little like ad libs like in between like drops. It's just, oh my god, it's so good.
And that's another thing. People used to always say sampling wasn't actual musical talent. Everything samples these days.
It is so
Yeah.
hard, dude. You have to get so creative with samples to
Oh,
like
the
actually make
timing
them
has to be
effective.
perfect.
Dude,
Yeah.
like I watched this man I watched him make an instrument out of a Pokemon's voice. He was playing it as like in between. There was like a whole, oh my god, don't even start. I love Flareon.
Yeah, anytime you sample, it is just as valid as playing with an actual musical instrument.
Yeah.
You know, I have to remember his name because I want to give like a full shout out to this.
Full
'cause it
shout
is
out.
really, really, yeah. But okay, Flareon. Sorry, I was listening to the Gundam Unicorn soundtrack.
Oh my god.
Mood.
It's
By
so
the
good.
way,
All right,
y'all,
Ben Rosette.
Ben Rosette.
Ben
Yeah.
Rose.
You heard it here,
The
guys.
video is beautiful too. It's literally just him playing with like this really, really gorgeous background going. It's just, I love it.
Like,
By
what
the
were
way,
you gonna say?
Zach, you're almost at 4K listens for 3rd of October. Have a safe
Oh.
one.
I know.
80 listens away, which will probably be done by the end of the day, knowing me.
Nice.
Yeah, honestly.
Knowing you. Blake is 3,999 of those.
I mean, honestly, it's probably pretty close.
So I have a question for you guys. How
What's up?
has OnlyBands and Mission Music helped you guys with your own musical projects? Because I'm not someone that has a band or anything like that, but I know both of you guys do. How has it kind of helped you guys, whether it's through the interviews you guys have had with other bands? Has there been any kind of influence that you've taken from it?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I'm just saying because I'm not in a band, so I want to know your guys' take.
So it has in a few different ways, but only ever so subtly.
Yeah.
For example, like we talk a lot about like the mental health aspect of making music and like trying to balance life with it, because that, you know, we usually talk to like smaller musicians that have like a day job and everything and don't make any money off of their music, but they make it because they love it. And like it's really hard to stay motivated a lot of the time, just in general. Like for me particularly, I getting out of bed in the morning is a very difficult thing. But like, you know, I'll talk to like a lot of people on the podcast, and most of the questions that I ask, and I think that I make this pretty clear when I bring them up, like most of the questions that I end up asking these particular people pertain to things that I personally struggle with, and that I know like a lot of people struggle with. So I really try to get like, honestly, like the questions that I'm asking, it's more advice than anything, because I truly believe that these people have like a lot more, like I need that kind of insight from outside influences. So that helps, but honestly, it also hasn't really fixed the issues that I deal with, because I mean, you know, I gotta take the step to do it myself, but like it's hard with everything that I do. I'm a very busy boy. But aside from that, the only other thing that it really affects is like if, you know, we find like a new band because they reached out because they wanted to do an interview, like I'll listen to that and I'll be like, oh wow, this is awesome. Like that's another person that I want to collab with in the future or something like that. And like, because collaboration, like the collaborative effort is, I think right now, I think it's the lifeblood of the music industry. Because, you know, we were just talking about how originality is a little hard to find. I think that blending as many creative minds into one thing as possible is, I think that it could really like turn into something incredible. And that's kind of what I'm going for a lot of the time now. And that, I mean, but that's kind of it. Like, it hasn't really like directly affected the music that I've made, you know?
Yeah, and I think any kind of support that it offers you, especially in the interviews, as you're saying, trying to get advice from outside sources, I definitely think that's something to carry with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it hasn't exactly fully affected it because I already know exactly how I want my music to sound. I know exactly like the influence I want to pull from. That being said, like when we have a band on the podcast, sometimes Zach will give us a Spotify link for the band and I'll just be like, I'll listen to it and I'll be like, oh, I actually like how they did this. And then I'll toy around with it on like GarageBand and like see exactly like how they styled that and then like almost because I'm working on an AP and I'll just kind of like fuck around and see if maybe there is something that could be added that I liked into my music. But for the most part, it's kind of like Zach said, just getting like to know the bands personally, network, and see if there is collaboration to be made because there has been feeling like a lack of originality. And the best way lately, I agree that it's like the lifeline is collaboration because there's so much magic that can be just made from like, if not just friendship, maybe like going with them and creating like a tour. There's just so much things that you can do with collaborations. And I think that's really where it's been coming from lately with my music is just seeing like, if there's bands I want to collaborate, at the bare minimum, I just want to give them a platform with Mission Music and kind of separate that and to just like build people and their music up. But on the side, sometimes I'll just think, oh, maybe we could do something together because one, their music's good. Two, they're really cool in the podcast. And three, we all had a good time. So where's the bad part in all of that? And yeah.
I think that's completely valid. Yeah, I was just kind of curious because you guys both have musical projects going on. I was just wondering because this is a music-based organization, I didn't know if you had any influences that you guys took from it or any way that it kind of transferred to your projects.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I think it kind of works backwards more than anything because there are people that we want to have on the podcast because they have influenced us. And like, you know, I mean, like usually they're a little like higher profile people, so like it's harder to get those kind of people. But like, I mean, we 100% want that as an objective. As Bishop Music grows, we would like to be able to talk to these people. And honestly, if I talk to somebody who's influenced me, I usually want to go deeper. I'm like, I want to kind of dissect it a little. I want to be like, all right, so like, what influences you? Like, how do you do this? Why do you do this? And like, I feel like the best part or the most important thing for creating is understanding. Because if I don't know why things are happening, then I can't make it consistently.
Definitely.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of influences, you know the top 3 people I want to build up to have on this podcast?
Oh, yes. Shout them out. Let's name drop.
Alex Gaskarth. Barack Obama.
Are those two of
Did you
your
have a
people?
third one? Do you have a third?
Anthony Hopkins.
All right. Done. We'll have Anthony Hopkins next week, guys.
Dude, okay, but actually that would be the best thing ever.
We need to get him a thing of fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Sir Anthony Hopkins, who learned that he had autism at age 80.
I know.
So
Blake,
cool. What an
Blake,
absolute
who are you gonna
legend.
say before we get off topic? Who are you gonna say?
The ones you forgot. I feel like everyone knew that about me.
Yep. You got me into them.
Broadside.
No. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Broadside is number 2. And In Her Own Words.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I know that last one.
Are they still together? Are they still making music?
Yeah, they're working on an EP.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they just did like a live acoustic set like the other day too.
Oh, same, except ours got ruined by wind.
No,
Damn
theirs
you,
was on
wind.
Instagram.
Oh.
Saying you wind, I will get you.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Okay, now here's the other thing. We filmed next to like we filmed on the bay, like on like a sidewalk, like off the bay. It was beautiful, but obviously like ocean breeze happens.
Yeah.
It only ruined 2 of the songs, but then the last song was a cover, and it's very high, and I'm breathing in saltwater air.
Oh,
So we tried to film that one song 3 separate times, and every time my voice gave out in the exact same spot toward the end because I couldn't hydrate fast enough. And
oh no.
yeah, I don't know if I really want to put that out, but the rest of the band does. So I think I just have to hold that L and be embarrassed.
I mean, it'll be a story for in the future.
Yeah.
I think honestly, so it's for a live stream show coming up that I cannot say which is because we haven't been announced for it yet. But I really like, if we do it, I kind of just want to put like a little funny bit for it, just like right before. It's just like, and then disaster struck, salt water, and then it's just me. It's just clips of me like drinking and being like, ugh. But right before the song.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like that would at least make it bearable.
That would be hilarious.
As
and I
long
would feel
as my
so bad.
excuse is there, that's what matters.
I mean, I'm sure people deal with strange things when they're recording or when they're doing some kind of
Definitely.
performance.
Well, yeah, but it's still embarrassing just to be like, oh, I can't do the thing that I was supposed to be doing. But it's like, I definitely can. I'm telling you, right? Like, that's the thing. It's just like, guys, this never happens. Like,
I mean, I think
I swear
everybody
it was just this one
understands
time.
There's
Especially
good
if
and
you
they're
warm
bad.
up enough. Yeah.
Oh, I was warmed up to the umpteenth degree.
There's
Yeah.
always going to be
was-
good and there's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like putting out bad.
I know, but sometimes you have to
Mood.
put out the bad, show people that you're human, and then you put out the really good.
You know what? You're right. I am too much of a legend. I need to be debuffed.
Name one band that hasn't put out a pretty bad album at some point
Knucklepuck.
in their career.
The ones you forgot.
Knuckle puck.
The ones you
You guys go and name bands that I don't even know. All right. I'll give you those 2. Sure.
State champs.
But the majority of
Definitely
people,
stay champs.
the majority of people have to put out something bad so that they can kind of turn around and come out with something even better and something that is their magnum opus.
You're talking to 2 perfectionists, Lily. I think you need to.
I
check your facts.
know. I'm just trying to offer some, consolidation.
I know. I appreciate it. I do.
I appreciate it though. Having said that, we are starting to run out of time, so I want to end this podcast with, in honor of Pride Month, one piece of advice that each of us would give to a LGBT person struggling to come out, or just struggling with their gender or sexuality, whatever floats your boat.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
I'm thinking.
I'll give y'all a moment to think while I
Yeah,
talk about it.
thanks for dropping this on us. Now we got to think about things.
I think for me, my piece of advice is be prepared to lose everything, but also be prepared to gain everything. What I mean by that is, depending on your situation, you may find yourself struggling for a bit, but at the same time, it's going to be the best thing that you ever did. Even if it makes you end up homeless and you lose whatever financial support, you're never going to regret coming out as who you are and finding your people. And you may end up turning your life around and just becoming like, I don't want to say the next millionaire, but becoming super financially stable and becoming a much better person with your group of people that you found, all because it started with you coming out.
That's the thing. There's always going to be support for you.
There's
even
always
if it's
going to
not
be
from your
support.
home.
At first it may be, and it might be tough, or it may be great. But the biggest thing is that you're never going to regret coming out as yourself. Like, I'll be honest, I lost a couple friends when I came out as trans. That being said, it's the best thing that I ever did. Like, I didn't end up needing those people in the end. And even if you lose like your parents' support or whatever, you're not going to regret it. It's going to end up becoming the best thing that you did, because the one thing that you'll learn from that, or at least I did, is that like almost like a version of self-worth, but more like self-proudness. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like,
it's a version of
I
self-love.
finally know who I am, and I can stand in who I am. And I am going to live as who I am versus hiding myself. I can present myself, and those around me that want to support me, I'll let in. And those that don't support me, well, fuck you. Have a nice day.
It's an aspect of self-love.
Yeah,
loving yourself enough to accept yourself.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So I guess my advice to anyone who is thinking of coming out or has come out, your identity is not your sole identifier as to who you are. You are an amalgamation of so many different things. And if you're gay, bi, lesbian, trans, that is not the only thing that defines you. So you are always going to be so much more than just a label, and don't be scared of that label if you think that that's the only thing that you have to be. If you are gay, that is perfectly fine, but you can also be into skateboarding or video games or be a big nerd. You can be so many things. It's just you happen to be gay too. And I think a lot of people kind of lose themselves when they come out and they realize that this is the only thing that they can be, and it kind of becomes their entire personality. And there's so much more to people than just what they identify as. Be proud, say it loudly, but it's not the only thing that you are. And I think it's great to remember that you can be so many things at the same time, and your identity is just one of those things.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I guess that kind of already encompasses my thing. It's more so being true to yourself is the most important thing. As long as you can say that you are happy with who you are, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who else is happy with who you are. Like, of course, there are people that you don't want to lose. And of course, there are people that you love that might think adversely about your life path and the decisions that you might make in the future. But at the end of the day, they're not their choices to make. Like, as you are yourself, nobody owns you, and you don't owe anybody your life. Just make sure whatever you're doing, it is true to you and no one else.
No one can tell you who you are.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's great. I think that's great advice for people. And again, if you guys ever have questions or just want to talk to any one of us, you can reach out to us either through the Discord. We all have Mission Music emails. We all have personal accounts that we tend to post places, and we're always more than welcome to talk to people. We are not licensed therapists, but we are okay with talking to people and trying to show support.
Yeah, we're not licensed therapists, but I'm definitely comfortable acting like one.
I was working on it for quite a while, but I didn't.
I mean, I am a psychology major, so
I was too, but I never finished.
Well, we're not licensed therapists. I may well one day be.
Yes, but we've taken tests. We've taken classes. Biopsychology, check.
It's like the Nathan For You intro. He's like, I graduated from one of Canada's top business colleges with really high grades. But he's a comedian, so.
Oh my gosh,
that's hilarious, Zach. Oh my god.
No, if you haven't watched Nathan For You, you absolutely have to. That's just a requirement.
Nathan for you and Poppy. Those are my 2 assignments.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. You're gonna love Poppy.
I
right.
have a feeling you'll grow in love with Poppy.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check out Poppy. Blake, is that all you have for us today?
Yeah, so with that, I am Blake.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Lily.
And this is
OnlyBands.
Woo! Bye, guys. Thanks.